Good morning, students. In this particular session, I'm going to discuss synapses of excretory products and their elimination. Elimination of metabolic waste products from animal body to regulate the composition of body fluids and tissue is called as excretion. These waste products include ammonia, uric acid, urea, carbon dioxide, and ions like in the access form chloride ions, phosphates, and sulfates. Based on excretory products, animals are divided into three types: ureotelic, uricotelic, ammonotelic animals. First, ureotelic animals. The animals which excrete nitrogenous waste products in the form of urea called as ureotelic animals. The animals which excrete uric acid as their principal nitrogenous waste product called as uricotelic. The animals which excrete ammonia as their principal nitrogenous waste product called as ammonotelic. Ammonia is the most toxic and uric acid is the least toxic substance. Ammonia requires the large quantity of water to excrete it. Ammonotelism, an organism that excrete ammonia called as ammonotelic. Examples: bony fishes, aquatic amphibians, and insects. And ureotelic organisms, example mammals, terrestrial amphibians. And uricotelic organisms, example reptiles, birds, and land snails. Excretory organs, the different type of organisms: flatworms, annelids, and cephalochordates. Flame cells or solenocytes or photonephridia are the excretory organs. So in earthworms and other annelids, nephridia are the excretory organs. In insects, Malpighian tubules are the excretory organs. And in scorpion and spiders, foxal glands are the excretory organs. And in case of aquatic organisms, crustaceans like prawn, green glands or antennary glands are the excretory organs. And in case of Pisces, mesonephric kidneys. In case of amphibians, mesonephric kidneys. In case of reptiles and aves and mammals, metanephric kidneys are the excretory organs. Let us see the human excretory system. Human excretory system consists of a pair of kidneys, a pair of ureters, a urinary bladder, urethra. A pair of kidneys are reddish brown in color, bean shaped, and they are situated between last thoracic and lumbar vertebrae, either side of the vertebral column. Each kidney consists two portions, concave and convex portion. The inner concave region of the kidney consists a notch is called as hilum, through which ureter, blood vessels, and nerve fibers enters. Actually, here renal artery nerve fibers enters into the kidney, and ureter and renal vein arises from the kidney, emerges out from the kidney. Inside the hilum, a broad funnel shaped structure is called as renal pelvis. The projection of renal pelvis, the finger like projections of renal pelvis called as renal calyces. Next, the inner region of the kidney is divided into two zones: outer cortex and inner medulla. Medulla is divided into conical shaped structures called as medullary pyramids. The pointed end of renal pyramid is called as renal papillae, which opens into the renal calyces. And the renal cortex extended between medullary pyramids in the form of columns called as columns of Bertini. the extended part of renal cortex between the renal pyramids in the form of columns called as columns of Bertini. And each kidney consists around 1 millions of structural functional units called as nephrons. Each nephron has two parts, glomerulus and renal tubule. Glomerulus is the tuft of capillaries that is formed by the afferent arteriole. This afferent arteriole is the fine branch of renal artery. After formation of glomerulus, all capillaries are combined to form efferent artery. So blood from the glomerulus is carried away by the afferent arteriole. So blood moved towards the glomerulus through the afferent arteriole, away from the glomerulus through the afferent arteriole. A renal tubule consists Bowman's capsule, proximal convoluted tubule, Hendy's loop, and distal convoluted tubule. Here, Bowman's capsule and glomerulus together called as Malpighian body or renal corpuscle. Next, renal tubule starts with Bowman's capsule, continue with the tubular parts divided into proximal convoluted tubule, Hendy's loop, and distal convoluted tubule. The Malpighian tubule, PCT and DCT of nephron are situated in the Malpighian corpuscle, not tubule, Malpighian corpuscle, PCT, DCT of nephron are situated in the cortical region, whereas only the Hendy's loop is located in the medulla. There are two types of nephrons. Cortical nephrons and juxtamedullary nephrons. Cortical nephrons. In cortical nephrons, the loop of Henle are very long. In cortical nephrons, a loop of Henle is very short, which constitute about 85% of the total nephrons. And juxtamedullary nephron, the loop of Henle is very long, which is penetrated into the deep region of the medulla. So here you can see this is cortical nephron and this is juxtamedullary nephron. Cortical nephron has the short loop of Henle, the juxtamedullary nephron has the long loop of Henle. Here only little portion of cortical nephron is extended into the medulla, and the major portion means the major portion of Henle's loop is extended deep into the medulla, inner region of the medulla. In cortical nephron constitute 85% and the juxtamedullary nephron constitute only 15%. In cortical nephron, vasa recta is highly reduced or absent. In juxtamedullary nephron, vasa recta is well developed. Here, after emerging from the glomerulus, efferent arteriole divides and redivides to form a network around the renal tubule is called as peritubular network. A portion of peritubular network that surrounds the Henle's loop is called as vasa recta. The vasa recta and Henle's loop play the major role in the formation of concentrated urine. Next. Here, distal convoluted tubules of many nephrons are opens into a long straight tube is called as collecting duct. The collecting duct is extended from the cortex into the inner medullary region. Now, collecting ducts of one renal pyramids are combined. All collecting ducts of one renal pyramid are combined to form a larger duct is called as duct of Bellini. The duct of Bellini is opens into the renal calyces. So formation of the urine, the filtration of urine takes place in renal tubules. Then first filtration, renal filtrate formed in the lumen of Bowman's capsule. Then proximal convoluted tubule, Henle's loop, then into the distal convoluted tubule, then collecting duct, then into the duct of Bellini, then into the renal calyces, then renal pelvis, then ureter, then urinary bladder. Through urethra it is expelled out. This is the pathway of urine. Here, Bowman's capsule, wall of Bowman's capsule consists two layers, the outer parietal layer, inner visceral layer. The visceral layer of Bowman's capsule is made up of specialized modified epithelial squamous epithelial cells called as podocytes, whereas and parietal layer is made up of simple squamous flattened epithelial cells. The spaces present between podocytes called as filtration slits, and the minute opening present in the endothelium of glomerular blood capillaries called as fenestrations. Here, endothelium of glomerular blood capillary, podocyte layer of Bowman's capsule, in between them basement membrane, form filtration membrane. Through this filtration membrane, the blood is filtered, then the filtrate is enters into the lumen of Bowman's capsule. So let us discuss about urine formation. The urine formation includes three processes, three steps. First step, glomerular filtration. Second step, reabsorption. Third one, secretion. Let us see the glomerular filtration. Glomerular capillaries. Blood pressure cause filtration of blood through the three layers. The three layers of filtration membrane is made up of endothelium of glomerular blood vessel, epithelium of Bowman's capsule, basement layer between the membranes form the filtration membrane. Now, this filtration membrane contains minute pores such as fenestrations and filtration slits. Blood is filtered through these minute pores, hence it is called as ultrafiltration. Here, first statement, glomerular capillaries blood pressure causes filtration of blood. Here, the glomerular hydrostatic pressure while flowing blood in the glomerulus is 60 mmHg. That is, pressure exerted by the blood while flowing in the glomerular blood capillaries is called as glomerular blood pressure, hydrostatic blood pressure. And this glomerular hydrostatic blood pressure is opposed by two more pressures. One is colloidal osmotic pressure of the blood, that is pressure exerted by the blood proteins, and that is about 18 mmHg. Next, Bowman's capsule hydrostatic pressure, that is pressure exerted by the wall of Bowman's capsule on the glomerulus is called as Bowman's capsule hydrostatic pressure. This is 12 mmHg. Here, glomerular hydrostatic pressure is 60 mmHg, that is opposed by two pressures. One is colloidal osmotic pressure of the blood, that is 32 mmHg, and hydrostatic pressure of Bowman's capsule, that is 18 mmHg. Here, hydrostatic colloidal osmotic pressure of the blood and hydrostatic pressure of the Bowman's capsule together 50 mmHg. This 50 mmHg oppose the colloidal oppose the glomerular hydrostatic pressure, that is 60 mmHg. So 60 minus 50, the net filtration pressure is 10 mmHg. That 10 mmHg only is responsible for the filtration of blood through the filtrate membrane. Yes. The amount of filtrate formed by the kidneys per minute is called as glomerular filtration rate, which is about 125 ml per minute. Around 1100 to 1200 ml of blood is subjected for the filtration in both the kidneys. It is about 1/5 of cardiac output. The cardiac output is about around 5 liters. Among these 5 liters, only the 1100 to 1200 ml of blood is subjected to the filtration per minute. Next, glomerular filtration rate is controlled by juxtaglomerular apparatus. 99% of filtrate has to be reabsorbed by the renal tubule, called as reabsorption. Here, what is juxtaglomerular apparatus? The sensitive area present where the distal convoluted tubule, where the afferent arteriole come close contact with the distal convoluted tubule. At that region, the cells of distal convoluted tubule and afferent arteriole are modified. The modified cells of distal convoluted tubule, called as macula densa, and modified smooth muscle cells of afferent arteriole, called as juxtaglomerular cells. Here, juxtaglomerular cells secrete enzyme renin, whereas macula densa cells secrete enzyme thromboxane. Next, when filtrate is enters into the lumen of Bowman's capsule, that filtrate we can call it as ultrafiltrate or primary urine or glomerular filtrate. This filtrate, the composition of glomerular filtrate is almost similar to the blood plasma, except larger proteins. Similar to the blood except blood corpuscles and blood proteins. So 99% of filtrate has to be reabsorbed while passing filtrate through the renal tubule. First, in the proximal convoluted tubule, the 70 to 80% of all the nutrients and 70 to 80% of electrolytes and waters reabsorption takes place in the proximal convoluted tubule. Here, absorption of different type of molecules takes place in the different way. For example, the glucose is reabsorbed by the process of active transport, and the electrolytes like sodium ions are reabsorbed by the active transport, chloride ions are reabsorbed by the passive transport. And proximal convoluted tubule also play the important role in the maintenance of pH and electrolyte balance by the secretion of H plus ions, potassium ions, and ammonia into the filtrate. Next, Henle's loop. There are two limbs in the Henle's loop, descending limb and ascending limb. Descending limb is permeable to only water, and the ascending limb is permeable to the only electrolytes. While passing filtrate to the descending limb of Henle's loop, the concentration of filtrate gradually increases because it is permeable to only water. At the hairpin bend of Henle's loop, the filtrate concentration is very high, maximum, that is 1200 milliosmoles per liter. In case of cortex region at the proximal convoluted tubule, the filtrate concentration is 300 milliosmoles per liter. When it reaches to the hairpin bend of the Henle's loop, that is 1200 milliosmoles per liter in the inner medullary region. Next, from descending limb, again the filtrate enters into the ascending limb. The ascending limb is permeable to only electrolytes and impermeable to the water. So when filtrate passes through the ascending limb, it becomes dilute because it is permeable to only electrolytes and impermeable to the water. So as filtrate move towards the inner medulla to cortex region in the ascending limb of loop of Henle, it become dilute. Next, in the distal convoluted tubule, the conditional reabsorption takes place. Conditional reabsorption of electrolytes and water under the influence of hormones such as ADH and aldosterone. ADH facilitates the reabsorption of water, and the aldosterone facilitates the reabsorption of electrolytes. And distal convoluted tubule also plays an important role in the maintenance of pH and maintenance of pH and potassium ionic balance, sodium potassium ionic balance by secreting H plus ions and K plus ions. Collecting duct, the large amount of water reabsorption takes place in the collecting duct under the influence of ADH hormone, and also the small amount of urea is reabsorbed into the interstitial fluid to maintain the osmotic gradient in the inner medullary region. Next, mechanism of concentration of urine, that is counter current mechanism. The flow of filtrate in two limbs of Henle's loop is in the opposite direction that form the counter that create the counter current, and the flow of blood in the two limbs of vasa recta also in the opposite direction, that is also create the counter current. Here, flow of filtrate in the descending limb of Henle's loop is opposite to the flow of blood in the vasa recta, ascending limb of the vasa recta. This opposite flow of fluids create the counter current and also responsible for the increasing of osmolarity towards the inner medullary interstitium. The osmolarity is maintained in the inner medullary region by the movement of two substances. One is urea and NaCl. The NaCl, which is reabsorbed by the ascending limb of Henle's loop, is enters into the secreted into the blood in the descending limb of vasa recta. Again, it is returned into the interstitial fluid when the blood passes through the ascending limb of vasa recta. At the same time, the small amount of urea is reabsorbed from the collecting duct into the interstitial fluid. That urea is secreted into the ascending limb of Henle's loop. Again, when this filtrate passes through the collecting duct, the small amount of urea is reabsorbed into the interstitial fluid to maintain the high osmolarity in the inner interstitial fluid or inner medullary region. The maintenance of high osmolarity is essential for the reabsorption of water from the collecting duct to form the concentrated urine. Next, regulation of kidney functions. The functions of kidney is monitored by the hormonal feedback mechanism by hypothalamus and JGA apparatus and also heart. The osmoreceptors present in the body are sensitive to the change in the body fluid volume or blood volume or ionic concentration in the body fluids. When body fluid volume decreases, that means when lot of water is losses through the urine, the osmoreceptor gets stimulates, they send the signal to the hypothalamus, then hypothalamus induces the secretion of ADH, antidiuretic hormone, from the posterior pituitary. The ADH facilitates the reabsorption of water from the DCT and collecting duct, and that increases body fluid volume, thereby blood pressure. When body fluid volume increases, the osmoreceptor gets suppressed, then it sends the negative signal to the hypothalamus to reduce the secretion of ADH or vasopressin from the posterior pituitary. This is function of osmoreceptor and hypothalamus to regulate the kidney functions. Next, JGA apparatus. JGA apparatus includes macula densa and juxtaglomerular cells. So JGA apparatus is located where the afferent arteriole come close contact with the distal convoluted tubule. At the contact region of these two parts, The cells are modified and highly sensitized. The modified cuboidal epithelial cells of distal convoluted tubule called as macula densa and modified smooth muscle cells of afferent arteriole called as juxtaglomerular cells. These two, macula densa and juxtaglomerular cells together form juxtaglomerular apparatus. Okay, we'll discuss the function of juxtaglomerular cells and macula densa cells. Juxtaglomerular cells secrete renin enzyme and macula densa secrete thromboxane. Here you can see when juxtaglomerular when glomerular filtration rate decreases, when glomerular filtration rate decreases, that stimulate the juxtaglomerular cells to secrete renin from the kidney. When when glomerular filtration rate decreases or blood pressure decreases, that stimulate kidney to release or juxtaglomerular cells to release renin. The renin is act on the angiotensinogen, is the liver protein. Renin is act on angiotensinogen, then converted into angiotensin 1. Now, angiotensin 1 is converted into angiotensin 2 by the action of enzyme, angiotensin converting enzyme, that is secreted from the lungs. Next, this angiotensin 2 has many effects. It sympathetic activity, that means stimulatory activity. It has the stimulatory activity. And this angiotensin 2 itself, it is a powerful vasoconstrictor. Angiotensin 2 is a powerful vasoconstrictor. By constriction of blood vessel, it increases blood pressure, thereby glomerular filtration rate. And also it stimulates the adrenal cortex to release aldosterone hormone. The angiotensin 2 stimulate adrenal cortex to release aldosterone hormone. This aldosterone facilitates the reabsorption of electrolytes and water. By that increases body fluid volume and blood pressure, thereby glomerular filtration rate. Now also angiotensin 2, it stimulate secretion of the ADH. Stimulate the secretion of ADH. The ADH facilitate the reabsorption of water from the collecting duct, by that body fluid volume, and thereby glomerular filtration rate increases. So here renin angiotensin aldosterone system function to increase glomerular filtration rate. So when glomerular filtration rate, when this renin angiotensin aldosterone system get activated, when glomerular filtration rate decreases, the ROS system get activates. So when glomerular filtration rate increases, the flow of blood to the right atrium increases. When flow of blood to the right atrium increases, that stress the wall of right atrium to secrete ANF, atrial natriuretic factor. Atrial natriuretic factor. This atrial natriuretic factor is a vasodilator. Atrial natriuretic factor is a vasodilator. By the dilation of blood vessel, it again reduces blood pressure, thereby glomerular filtration rate. Next, micturition. The process of expulsion of urine from the urinary bladder is called as micturition. The neural mechanism that causes micturition is called as micturition reflex. The urine formed in the nephron is stored in the urinary bladder till voluntary signals is given by the CNS. When urinary bladder is get filled with urine, that stretches the receptor in the urinary bladder, stress receptor, which which generate the action potential and send the signal to the central nervous system through the sensory neuron. Again, the central neural system analyzes analyzes the signals which are coming from the stress receptor. Again, they generate the motor impulse. The motor impulse are passed to the wall of urinary bladder. Then the urinary bladder undergo contraction. The smooth muscles of urinary bladder undergo contraction. At the same time, a relaxation of urethral sphincters occurs, and that causes a release of urine out. This we can call as exudation. Next, disorders of the excretory system. Disorders of excretory system. Uremia. The accumulation of urea in the blood is called as uremia. This is occurs due to failure of the kidneys. This can be treated by the hemodialysis. Renal failure, also known as kidney failure, where the glomerular filtration ceased and both kidneys stopped the working. Kidney transplantation is the ultimate method in the correction of acute kidney failure. Renal calculi, the formation of kidney stones. These kidney stones are crystallized salts which are composed with oxalates, calcium oxalates. Glomerular nephritis, also called as Bright's disease. The inflammation of glomerular blood capillaries called as glomerular nephritis, which is caused due to bacterial or viral infection. Next, gout is the accumulation of uric acid crystals in the synovial joints. We can call it as gout. Here, hemodialysis, the process of elimination of separation of nitrogenous waste products from the blood with help of artificial kidney is called as hemodialysis. The hemodialysis consists a dialyzer unit. The dialyzer unit composed with cellophane tubes. This cellophane tube membrane is the selectively permeable membrane. The blood is taken out from the convenient artery, then pumped into the hemodialyzer unit with mixing of heparin, that is anticoagulant. When blood passes through the dialyzer unit or cellophane tubes, the nitrogenous waste products are diffuses into the dialyzer solution. Because the composition of dialyzer solution is almost similar to the blood plasma without, but there are no nitrogenous waste products. So when blood passes through the cellophane tubes, the nitrogenous waste products are diffused into the dialyzer solution basis on the concentration, on the basis of concentration gradient. After filtration, the blood is pumped back into the body through convenient vein by mixing anti-heparin. This is about excretory system. Next topic, locomotion and movement. Locomotion is the voluntary movement of an individual from one place to the another place. Walking, running, climbing, swimming are the example for locomotion. What is movement? The change of body parts. The change of the body parts. Position of body parts. Change of position of the body parts. The movement of hand. The movement of legs. This we can call as movement. All locomotions are movements, but all movements are not locomotions. The types of movements. There are three types of movements: amoeboid, ciliary, and muscular movement. Amoeboid movement is carried out by the pseudopodia. Pseudopodia are the cytoplasmic extensions. Macrophages and leukocytes in the blood exhibit amoeboid movement, and the ciliary movement is carried out by the small hair-like structures called cilia. In human body, the trachea and fallopian tubes exhibit the ciliary movements. In the trachea, the movement of dust particle in the opposite direction and the passage of ova through fallopian tube in is an example for the ciliary movements. Movements of limbs, jaw, tongue need muscular movements. Muscular movements are carried out by the skeletal muscles. The contractile property of muscle is used in the movement in the higher organisms, including human beings. Flagellar movement is carried out by the flagella, that is exhibited by the spermatozoa in human male. Muscle are the specialized tissue of mesodermal origin. They have property like excitability, contractibility, extensibility, elasticity. Excitability, they can respond to a particular stimuli. By the response, they undergo contraction and they undergo relaxation and they are elastic. Next. Skeletal muscle is made up of muscle bundles called as fascicles. These fascicles are held together by the collagenous connective tissue is called as fascia. The skeletal muscle is composed with numerous muscle fibers called skeletal muscle fibers. Each skeletal muscle fiber, each muscle fiber contains cytoplasm, sarcolemma, sarcoplasmic reticulum, and sarcosomes. The plasma membrane of muscle fiber is called as sarcolemma. Cytoplasm is called as sarcoplasm. Mitochondria is called as sarcosomes. Endoplasmic reticulum is called as sarcoplasmic reticulum. And cytoplasm of muscle fiber consists numerous myofibrils. These myofibrils are made up of thin filaments and thick filaments. The arrangement of thin and thick filaments gives the striated appearance in skeletal muscles are called as striated muscles. A group of muscle fiber form bundle called as fascicles. Group of fascicle together form a muscle. Each muscle fiber is lined by the plasma membrane called sarcolemma. Already I have discussed about this. Here, myofibrils are present in the muscle having alternate light and dark bands. These alternate light and dark bands are due to regular arrangement of actin and myosin filaments. Light band contains actin, is also called as I band or isotropic band. Dark band contains myosin, is also called A band or anisotropic band. A band or anisotropic band, and both bands present parallel to each other in the longitudinal fashion. The center of each I band is an elastic fiber is called as Z line. In the middle of A band, the thin fibrous membrane is called M line. The portion of myofibril between two successive Z lines is called as sarcomere. The sarcomere is the functional and structural unit of the contraction. The resting stage thin filament overlap the thick filament, edges of the thick filaments. The part of thick filament or myofibril where the thin filaments are absent is called as H zone. Next. Structure of contractile proteins. So myosin and actin filaments are composed with contractile proteins. I will see here. Each thin filament is made up of two affectin. They are helically wounded to each other. Two filaments of another protein, tropomyosin, run close to it. A complex protein, troponin, is distributed at regular interval on the tropomyosin. Here, each thin filament is made up of two affectin. This one globular structure, filamental structure is called as one affectin. The affectin is the polymerized chain of many G-actin, globular structure, G-actins. Okay. The tropomyosin is a long filamentous structure which is run close to the each affectin. along the length of each effectin. And one more protein, troponin, is the complex protein which consists three subunits: troponin I, troponin T, troponin C. Troponin I inhibit the binding of myosin with actin. Troponin T is bind with tropomyosin. Troponin C bind with the calcium ions. Next, during resting state, when calcium ions are not bound with the troponin C, the tropomyosin complex marks the active sites present on the actin filaments. These effectin molecules consist active sites for the binding of myosin filament. But during resting state, when calcium ions are not bound to the troponin C, the troponin and tropomyosin completely block the active sites to prevent the binding of myosin heads with the actin. But when calcium ions are bind to the troponin C, this tropomyosin complex is moved away from the active sites, then active sites are exposed to the myosin filaments. Next, myosin filaments. Each myosin filament is made up of many monomeric proteins called meromyosins. Around 200 to 300 meromyosin molecules are present in the each myosin filament. Each meromyosin has a globular head with a short arm and tail. Globular head and short arm together called as heavy meromyosin, and the tail region is called as light meromyosin. The head region consists two binding sites. One is ATP binding site, another one is myosin binding site, and also it contains ATPase enzyme. Next, the mechanism of muscle contraction. The mechanism of muscle contraction is best explained by the sliding filament theory. According to sliding filament theory, the muscle contraction takes place by the sliding of thin filaments over the thick filaments. Sliding of thin filaments over the thick filaments. Here, mechanism of muscle contraction includes 5 major steps. One is excitation of sarcolemma, muscle fiber, formation of cross bridges, power stroke, recovery stroke, and relaxation of the muscle fiber. The muscle contraction is initiated by the signals sent from the central nervous system via motor neuron. When signals are reached to the, when impulses are reached to the nerve ending, when signals are reached to the nerve ending, which stimulate the opening of calcium voltage gated channels, then influx that result in the influx of calcium ions. The calcium ions stimulate movement of synaptic vesicles toward the synaptic presynaptic membrane, and these synaptic vesicles are fused with the presynaptic membrane and releases neurotransmitter into the synaptic cleft. Then this neurotransmitter is bind with the neurotransmitter receptors present over the sarcolemma, present on the sarcolemma. When neurotransmitter acetylcholine is bind with the receptors of sarcolemma that generate the action potential in the sarcolemma. When action potential is spread to the T-tubule of triad system that stimulate terminal cisternae to release the calcium ions into the cytoplasm, sarcoplasm. When calcium ion concentration increases in the sarcoplasm, calcium ions are bind with troponin. Calcium ions are bind with troponin C. When calcium ions are bind with troponin C, tropomyosin complex is moved away from the active sites. Now, active sites are exposed to the myosin heads. Active sites are exposed to the myosin heads. Now, utilization of energy which is produced by the hydrolyzation of ATP, the myosin heads are bind with the actin filaments that result in the formation of cross bridge. Here ATP is breakdown into ADP and inorganic phosphate. Some energy is released. That energy is utilized to the binding for the formation of cross bridge. After formation of cross bridge, the myosin heads pull the actin filament toward the center of A band, that we can call power stroke. At the end of power stroke, the ADP is released out. The new ATP molecule bind with myosin head. When new ATP molecule is bind with the myosin head, the cross bridge detaches. Breakdown of cross bridge takes place. Then myosin head is moved to its original position. Next, again, by hydrolyzation of ATP, energy is produced. By utilization of that energy, again myosin head is bind with actin filament. Again, recovery, power stroke and recovery stroke takes place. Here, one formation of cross bridge, power stroke, recovery stroke together called as cross bridge cycle. By utilization of many energy produced by the many cross bridge cycles, the muscle undergo contraction, the sarcomere undergo contraction. When myosin head pull the actin filament towards the center of the center of the A band, the two Z lines are also brought closer because actin filaments are attached to the Z lines, right? When two Z lines brought closer, that result in the shortening of sarcomere, that we can call as muscle contraction. Okay, about skeletal system, we will discuss in the next session.